Good evening, everybody. Vaguely animated Shoocharu here, and welcome to this behind-the-scenes video. Now, if you haven't watched the original music video this whole video is about, please go watch it right now, because it might get a little bit confusing if you haven't watched it. Plus, it's really good, so, you know, there's no harm in watching it. You can also just not do that if you don't have the time. So, in this video, we will take a look at some character designs, some storyboards, a little bit of talk about directing and color choices and animation in general, and then maybe also a little Q&A at the end, just as a little, you know, after dinner snack type of thing. Let's keep it fresh, let's keep it light, and let's fucking do it. Sorry for swearing. Right, so first of all, let's take a look at some character designs. So here, first off, we have Danny Sexbang, the man himself, in the fleshiest of flesh. This particular rendition of Danny is quite different from the others I've made before, as you can see here. First of all, he doesn't look like shit, I'd say. The others kind of look like shit. So, plus he's also like way more mature looking right now, I'd say. His hairstyle in particular is quite different. This one took quite a long time to get right. I went through a bunch of different really ugly ones. I really wanted this rendition of Danny to stand out from the others. I really wanted this one to look like his own character instead of just another interpretation of Danny Sexbang. Ninja Brian is probably my favorite character to design in these music videos, mainly because he's the most cartoony character. You can put him in any costume you want and in any role you want, and it just makes sense because he's this mute, very malleable character, I'd say. I always like to have him appear in all kinds of roles, like you see here. He's the cab driver and bartender and so on. Originally, as you can see here, I wanted him to act as Danny's father in the music video too, but Dan was very quick to reject that idea, even though he did find it amusing. We were all quite concerned that this would open up a horrible can of worms of Ninja Brian actually being Danny's dad all along. Plus, Dan wanted his real actual parents to be in the music video, which is always a delight. So as mentioned, I designed the parents after his real parents. I can't really show you the reference photos because Dan asked me to keep those a secret, which of course is just fine by me. But just know that they look exactly like this in real life, like to a T, exactly like this. So the date in this music video was my favorite character. I really wanted her to contrast with Dan and Ninja Brian in this one, mainly because she appears quite modern and confident, while the guys are just kind of stuck in the 80s in terms of music and costumes. I'll talk more about her particular character later on in this video. Oh, by the way, before we move on, I just want to say, if you are an animator or an artist who might want to learn something from this video, please take everything I say with a grain of salt, because I did not go to school for any of this, so I'm literally like blindfolded behind the wheel trying to smell my way through the highway, so just keep that in mind. So here we have the storyboard / animatic for the music video, and I'm just going to talk about it a little bit while it plays in the background here. So one of the things I always champion when it comes to creating animation or art in general is that if you have that first draft, that first sketch, that first idea, and you come back to that and you don't really like what you see, you don't necessarily have to stick to it. I see them more as guidelines than actual rules to follow, those first initial sketches. So instead of showing you all of the animatic, I will instead show you a couple of interesting before and after photos of, you know, what it looked like first and then what it looked like at the end. Because even after I had quote unquote finished the video, I still went back and changed a lot of things, which I will show you right now. Because I think it's really important to be able to go back and correct yourself. And that's always my favorite part of creating any video, is those last few days before I finish it completely, where I just go back and forth and change all those little things I'm not really happy with. Because in my opinion, if you have something about your artwork that you're not completely happy with, you will always be unhappy unless you go back and you know, change it. So that's what I always do. I try and find all the things I don't like about the video, and then I go back and change them before I send it off. Is this video perhaps too vaguely animated, I wonder? Maybe I should spice it up just a little bit. Yeah, how's this? Do you like this? Oh, you fucking like that, don't you? Let's talk a little bit about directing this music video. So I think for most of my music videos there are always a particular ongoing gimmick for each of the videos. You'll have to figure out yourself what the gimmicks are for my previous music videos, but I'll tell you that the gimmick for this music video in particular is the change of on-screen tone. You know, there are two sets of tones in this music video. Basically, there are the very serious, sexually undertoned, flirty tone, you know? And then there are the very cartoony, unserious, goofy tone. And I don't think I have to spell it out when these two different tones appear in the music video. A very, very simple and very, very effective way of conveying this is the use of aspect ratios. So I don't know if you noticed, you probably did, it's very obvious, but throughout the video, the aspect ratio changes, like from here to here. And usually this happens when Dan is either on top of his game or when he's losing his game, you know, with the girl. So for example, when the parents barge in, he's kind of losing his grip, you know, he's kind of becoming unserious and everything is ruined, you know, the mood is ruined. And so the aspect ratio changes from a very cinematic, dramatic tone to a very average comedy kind of thing. And the same thing really goes for whenever we are in the more cinematic, dramatic tone. I also try to simulate a real-life camera, like with the best of my possibilities, of course, using focal lengths. I think you'll notice, particularly in the club scene at the beginning, there's a lot of like tight focal lengths, you know, everything is out of focus. If it's to the front or to the back, like everything is very tightly focused in that scene in particular. Whereas when everything is goofy and cartoony and unserious, there is like no focal length at all. Like nothing is blurred, like not even the background is blurred or anything. And I suppose I could have blurred the background still, but I really wanted to keep the contrast very, very extreme, so it was easy to follow what I was going for. Another thing that really helped sell this was the colors and shading in particular. So you notice anytime the aspect ratio changes to a wide image, there are a lot of shading details on the characters. There are a lot of dramatic lighting and a bunch of very saturated colors, which give the image a more of a cinematic look, particularly during this inside the taxi shot, where I just have lights going on all over the place, gives it a very realistic look. And then contrast that with when they actually enter the parents' house and everything is just, you know, everything falls flat, literally, because all the colors are desaturated, you know, there are very little shading and lighting going on. Not even to mention that Danny himself is acting way more cartoony and goofy. You see all these faces he's making, he's moving his body all over, and everything is just way more like over the top and unserious. And then we go right back to that very serious, very dramatic, very heavy setting right after. Another thing I really love when making music videos is making sure that everything follows the beat and sound of the song itself. And something I really wanted to experiment more with this video in particular was the camera following the sound. So there are quite a lot of like small, very barely noticeable camera movements which just follows the sound and the beat of the song very nicely. I wanted the song and the video to be in sync completely. So everything in the song helps the video and everything in the video helps the song. That's always the thing I'm going for. So in terms of directing, I suppose this falls under the category directing, we can talk about the girl in the video now. So a lot of the comments about the video I've seen are very happy about the fact that the girl is actually, you know, just going along with everything Dan puts, you know,
puts on the table, you know. She's just happy to be there, she's happy to have a party. And a lot of people have asked me how that idea came about, because usually in these music videos, the girl just leaves or is, you know, not interested from the get-go. The main reason she's actually quite easygoing throughout the whole video is mainly because she enters the house at a very early stage of the music video. So imagine she, you know, enters the house at 1 minute in, and there's still like 3 minutes left to go, and she's just, you know, not interested for 3 whole minutes. Like, that would get very old, it would be very boring to watch, and you would just feel bad for her. So instead I thought it would be at least a little bit more lighthearted and more interesting if she was actually somehow just on board with the whole thing. I then played with the idea that she would grow more disinterested over time, you know, at the end she would just leave. But then I thought, you know, let's just ride this thing out, let's just have her be happy throughout the whole thing, because at the end of the day, who wants to see a young lady just be dissatisfied? Don't take that out of context. But I thought it would be quite fun, a nice change of pace, and I think it worked out really well.
So my favorite scene in the whole video, I think, would have to be the scene where Dan slowly slides towards the girl on the sofa. Mainly because it was the first realized scene I had in my head when I listened to the song for the first time. Usually I try and go for the first instinct vision I have when I listen to these songs, when I make my storyboards. And that scene was the most clear vision I had. So I've been asked a lot about how much input the band has on these music videos. Like, do they have a script I follow, or do they have anything at all? Like, do they just give me full reign on the music video? And I'd say for the most part they just say I can do whatever I want, but of course there are small things, like if I animate a certain thing they don't really like, they'll tell me and I'll redo it, and small things like that. There were some small, I'd say, cultural differences we have. Yeah, stuff like tiny like background things, mainly like labels on bottles in this music video I had to change a few times. There was a poster in Dan's bedroom as well I had to change, I think. But the biggest thing they influenced in this video was actually a deleted scene, which follows nicely to the next question, which is, are there any deleted scenes in this video? And yes, there is. There's a whole thing you can see here where at the end I had Dan flying around in a rocket in space instead of, you know, twerp coming out of the TV. That was a whole thing. And Dan and Brian was like, well, we would rather have, you know, twerp coming out of the TV and have there be a big party at the end. And I was like, okay, that makes sense, you know. Why did the girl and Ninja Brian flirt at the end? So I never really saw this as a flirting situation. I just saw it as them dancing together. And I suppose you could, you know, interpret it the way you want, but I didn't really see it as flirting. There was also a deleted shot where I had the girl and Ninja Brian just sit on a couch, and, you know, he shows her a meme or something funny on his phone and she just laughs. Like, I just wanted something wholesome between them, so it wasn't another thing where Ninja Brian steals the girl, because I already did that in the first date music video, so I didn't want to do that again. How did I decide on the colors I used in the video? Shit, I don't know. In general, I like to keep things within a sense of contrast in terms of colors, because I don't really like to have too much on screen at a time. I like to have a few main colors on screen at a time, like 2 or 3, I'd say. So I like to keep like one source of light and then a contrasted color as a shadow. I like that a lot. And you'll see that a lot, like I have yellow and blue a lot, I have purple and yellow a lot, I have red and maybe blue a lot, so I like that sort of thing. The most challenging part was definitely at the beginning of the video in the club. There was a lot of detail focusing on the focal length of the quote-unquote camera, you'll see that everything closer to the camera is out of focus and the background is out of focus and all that. So a lot of thought went into how can I simulate a real life camera the most in this horrible animation software I'm using. So it took a long time to calculate and figure out how to do this, you know, what techniques and how do I manipulate the software to do what I want and all that. So it was definitely a new way for me to animate, because I had to really think about how you know, how close everything is to the camera and what keep in focus and what not to keep in focus. You'll see here that only Brian's hands are in focus, for instance, while the rest of his body is out of focus. Things like that. It was a fun process to play around with, but it was really time consuming. How long did the video take to make? It took 3.5 months to make. There you go. That was a quick answer. How did I decide on Danny's design versus his design in Mansion Party? I suppose the main difference between the designs in the two music videos are, in Mansion Party he was very edgy, literally. He had like a lot of sharp edges to him. He wasn't very rounded. He was very aggressively drawn, I'd say, and aggressively animated too, which I felt fit the tone of the music video very well, you know, and the story as well. You know, he was basically inviting a bunch of chicks to his house to sleep with them, you know, so he was very aggressively partying in that video, you know. He was showing off, he was very egocentric in that video, whereas in this video he's more soft, he's more light-hearted, he's more wholesome, which I felt didn't really go well with the more aggressive, edgy style I went for in the last video. So I went for a more rounded, more soft version in this video. And well, that is it. Bye. That's it. I hope you enjoyed the whole video. I hope you enjoyed all of it and not just bits of it. If you did enjoy the video, please let me know in the comments, and let me know by liking and subscribing and all that jazz, because you know, the YouTube algorithm is a weird kinky mistress who just likes what she likes, and we are better off just not asking questions and just following suit. So thank you all for watching, and if you want to see more of what I do, please consider following me on Twitter and Instagram, because I'm way more active there than I am here on YouTube. So thank you. Bye-bye.
Welcome to my facet.